Welcome to the Dutch crime zone. Scene Diddy Combs has long been celebrated as a titan of the music industry, but behind closed doors, allegations of abuse, manipulation, and coercion have shadowed his legacy. Accusations of running drug-fueled parties, exploiting his power to control and intimidate, and silencing those who threaten to expose him paint a far darker picture than his polished public image. Now, with recent legal battles, this hidden side is being exposed, leaving many shocked as they reassess his legacy. A legacy of power and control. From the very beginning of his career, Diddy mastered the art of control, both in his music career and in business. He played a major role in shaping the careers of artists like the notorious Big, Mary J. Blige, and many others. His reputation as a leader in the music industry grew quickly, and soon he was running Bad Boy Records, one of the most influential labels of the 1990s and early 2000s. With this power came influence, and Diddy became known as someone who could make or break careers. As much as this brought him respect and admiration, it also contributed to the control he allegedly exerted over the people around him. The power Diddy gained over the years was not just in the boardroom, but also in his personal relationships. He created a culture of fear, which allowed him to keep certain behaviors hidden for a long time. This control extended beyond business and into the darker parts of his life, where many now claim that his unchecked influence became a tool for manipulation and exploitation. The dark allegations: abuse, coercion, and control. The allegations against Diddy are both disturbing and extensive. Many of the claims suggest that Diddy used his position and influence not just to build a business empire, but also to manipulate and exploit those around him. Over the years, more and more people have come forward with accusations, ranging from verbal and physical abuse to severe allegations of sexual misconduct. One of the most shocking claims is that Diddy forced both men and women into sexual activities as part of private, secretive parties known as freak-offs. According to reports, these events were drug-fueled and highly abusive. Those involved have spoken about how Diddy used drugs to control participants, often keeping them in a weakened state to maintain dominance. The freak-offs reportedly lasted for days, leaving victims emotionally and physically drained. There were also reports of threats used to ensure the silence of those involved, ensuring they would not speak out against him. What is even more troubling is the evidence found during raids on Diddy's properties. Nearly 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant were seized, which investigators believe were connected to these alleged parties. For years, Diddy was able to hide behind his fame and influence, but these new details are painting a much darker picture of who he might really be. Recent arrest. The dark side exposed. In September 2024, Diddy's world came crashing down when he was arrested in New York. The charges he faces are extremely serious, ranging from racketeering conspiracy to sex trafficking, by force, fraud, or coercion, and even the transportation of individuals for prostitution. These are not minor allegations. They carry the possibility of life imprisonment. According to legal documents, prosecutors claim that since 2008, Diddy has been operating a criminal enterprise, using his wealth and connections to exploit others for personal gain. They allege that this enterprise allowed Diddy to traffic individuals, forcing them into situations they could not escape. One of the most shocking elements of this case is the extent of Diddy's control over his victims, with authorities suggesting he used fear, intimidation, and financial power to silence those who might expose him. Even though Diddy offered an enormous $50 million for bail, the court denied his request, citing concerns over the risk of witness intimidation. The investigation is still ongoing, with over 50 victims and witnesses already interviewed, and prosecutors expect even more people to come forward as the case continues. For many, this marks a turning point where the public can no longer ignore the darker side of Diddy's life. The freak-offs. A light on Diddy's most disturbing behavior. The allegations surrounding Diddy's infamous freak-off parties are some of the most disturbing details to emerge. These gatherings were not just ordinary parties. They were reportedly filled with drugs and coercion, with many people saying they felt trapped. The term freak off refers to these large, secretive parties that Diddy allegedly hosted, where participants were expected to engage in sexual activities while under the influence of drugs. What makes these events even more troubling is how organized they were. Diddy allegedly planned them in such a way that guests had little choice but to participate, or else face his anger or worse, further intimidation. The use of drugs was a key part of keeping people compliant, with many reports stating that Diddy provided substances that made victims feel powerless. Some even claim that Diddy recorded these encounters without their consent, creating an even more hostile environment. It is not just the sexual exploitation that makes these claims so shocking. It is the way Diddy allegedly maintained control over his victims, reducing them to mere objects for his entertainment. These events did not happen in isolation. They were part of a pattern of behavior that speaks to a much darker side of his personality, a pattern of intimidation and threats. One thing that stands out in all of these allegations is the pattern of fear and intimidation that Diddy reportedly used to protect himself. Over the years, many people have accused him of silencing those who might expose him by threatening them or using his wealth to make problems disappear. Victims and witnesses have described how they were warned not to speak out, with some even saying they were blackmailed with the threat of explicit videos being leaked if they ever went public. This pattern of intimidation is one of the reasons why Diddy's dark behavior remained hidden for so long. His legal team may have been able to settle lawsuits in the past, but now prosecutors argue that this history of threats and violence is too serious to ignore. They have highlighted past incidents, such as the 1999 nightclub shooting, as further evidence of Diddy's dangerous tendencies. These claims of intimidation are central to the argument that Diddy should remain in custody while this case proceeds, as the risk to potential witnesses is simply too high. The shocking revelations from Cassie and other women. One of the most high-profile accusations against Diddy comes from Cassie, his former partner, who in 2023 filed a lawsuit that shocked many. In her lawsuit, Cassie detailed years of alleged abuse, saying that Diddy subjected her to physical, emotional, and sexual violence. She also claimed that he trafficked her and forced her into degrading situations. What made this case particularly surprising is how quickly it was settled. Within days of being filed, the lawsuit was quietly resolved. While some saw this as a legal victory for Diddy, others believe it raises questions about how much he is willing to pay to keep these stories out of the public eye. Cassie's accusations are not the only ones. Several other women have come forward with their own stories of being drugged, assaulted, and coerced into sexual acts by Diddy. These allegations only add to the weight of the current criminal charges, making it harder for Diddy to distance himself from these claims. A criminal enterprise unraveled. Diddy's inner circle. As investigators dig deeper into Diddy's dark side, they are uncovering more than just his personal actions. There are allegations that his entire inner circle, including business associates and employees, may have played a role in covering up his abusive behavior. Prosecutors are not just focusing on Diddy alone. They are also looking into how others may have helped him carry out his crimes. Reports suggest that some of the people closest to Diddy may have been involved in obstructing justice, bribing victims, or turning a blind eye to his abuse. This raises questions about just how far Diddy's control and influence went, and whether those around him enabled his darker actions to continue for so long. As the investigation continues, it is possible that more individuals from his circle will face charges as prosecutors build their case against not just Diddy, but potentially the entire network that kept his behavior hidden. The fall of a hip-hop mogul. Will Diddy ever rebuild? The world has watched Diddy's rise to fame with admiration, but now it is watching his downfall with disbelief. Once seen as an untouchable figure in the hip-hop world, his reputation is now in ruins. The combination of criminal charges, disturbing allegations, and public outcry has left many wondering if Diddy can ever recover. His businesses, once thriving, are now under scrutiny, and his public image has taken a massive hit. With all of these accusations surfacing, it is hard to see how Diddy could ever rebuild his empire. His legacy, once tied to innovation and success, is now forever linked to these dark allegations. It is difficult to predict what the future holds for Diddy, but one thing is clear: his reputation will never be the same again. As more disturbing details come to light, Diddy's future hangs in the balance. What do you think about these shocking allegations? Let us know in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates.